Hello, all. So, excuse my shirt. I've been brushing the dogs, and I had to get a shot for the shingles thing. My generation, we don't want getting smallpox to cause us, or vaccinated against smallpox to cause us a problem. So I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I figured I had a little time because of that, and we might make a video about something that I find a little bit troubling. Okay. And that is, now there are many names for this technique, different systems, but I will just preface it with a name that makes physical sense. Okay. We'll call it the rising house roof block. This. Okay. And I'm calling it a block conditionally because it's not a block. All right. But just for the sake of making things simple and not splitting hairs. Anyway, and you will see this technique employed in various ways, okay? Now, it is sometimes employed wrong. However, more often than not, it's employed in a manner that is not necessarily bad, but levels to the game. It shows a lack of insight into the technique, what it's really for. And what happens is people get super hypercritical on YouTube about this. About, well, this block, if you do this in your hands here, you'll get cut. Or you ain't going to come out here and break somebody's arm from this on the street and all this other kind of puffery. Okay? Not necessarily, I mean, the guys that say this, some of them are decent practitioners, and I have a lot of respect for them, but it's puffery. And it shows, if they really understood the ignorance it showed, they might reconsider their understanding. I'm going to show you about that technique, what it's for. When I analyze a technique, I never look at a style. Okay? My interest is very similar to the original progenitors of Systema, okay, who was an engineer, Alexei Kardovich. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm interested in what makes the most sense, okay, across all manners of training for the technique from somebody who is a seasoned, capable warrior, okay? Because my belief is that the older martial arts are excellent. It's just that people don't teach them right. They don't understand them. And there's a lot of ignorance associated with them, Anyway, I don't want to digress too much from this. So basically, here's the concept. You're doing this, or I guess some people are doing this, which is absolutely not right, okay? Once you connect this to this has no protection. It's just simply a means to collapse into your head, okay? Bass Rutten, he did an excellent comedy piece about this. God bless him. I love that man. He's just, he's got a good sense of humor. He knows what he's talking about. And, he taped a pad to his head and he said, this is not going to protect you, And it's true. So this is not the technique, okay? Now, other teachers who some don't like their names being mentioned, that's fine. They talked about the possibility that you could get stabbed if this is here. That's true. Absolutely. Okay? Same idea. So the technique is not this. Okay? Now, the other thing it's not is it's not this. Okay? It's not a static block. All right? The angle is designed for deflection. Okay? You can see it with a sword. Hang on. Okay? It'll make more sense maybe if you understand with the sword, okay? You don't block, okay? You deflect, okay? When you're deflecting, there are certain skills that you can exercise that way. When I come here with a slight rotational movement of my wrist, okay, inwards towards proximal to my center line, okay? What happens is when I come here, boom, now I've got a very good angle of deflection, okay? I can do that either side, okay? It's a deflectionary technique, all right? Same idea. This is designed to deflect. Now, it's also designed very specifically, okay? You're not in a static position here doing this, okay? You're moving, okay? I'll mention another very good, excellent teacher who uses these concepts somewhat. If you look at some of Francis Fong's videos, he's talking about moving and his Wing Chun and this, okay? Same idea, okay? It's not a static thing. You're not here doing this at a distance. What you're doing with this is you're trying to create less distance between you and your opponent, okay? And in order to do that, we're going to look at a couple of things, all right? If my opponent is out here and he's throwing a punch, whatever, cutting, and I do this, okay? Two things happen, okay? If I do this and then I drop this to come in, he can attack me still, obviously, okay? So it's not this, right? On the other hand, if I do this and he leaves his hand open, okay? Arm out there, weapon out there, I can grab it and break it down, but it's not doing that like this. Okay? It's not the you break it going into your opponent if that happens. Okay? So if that arm remains here, as you break it, you come in. Okay? If the arm doesn't go in there, then you proceed. Okay? You're protecting yourself. Okay? You're in a position where you're protected. I'm not here. I'm here. Okay? If something comes here, okay, I can take that. Okay? I can change my angle. Okay? My footwork is such that if you can imagine my center line in the camera, okay, I'm going to step off from that center line. Okay? So when I'm doing the technique, I can do a small movement where I just use a rotational movement to slightly clear that, or a larger movement where now from that my next step can be into the center, okay, to take the center of the opponent, or to be evasive in my angle and work around my opponent. So at any rate, if I'm not going to attack his center and make him go back, I have to make him so he has to readjust to attack me. Those are your only two credible options in a combat scenario, okay? If I do this, he can keep hitting me. Okay, I'm giving him more opportunities. If on the other hand I'm here, okay, I'm moving, and I continue to move, okay? So maybe I'm moving across his center line, okay? I can do that. But I'm moving in such a way that when I'm making these movements, I'm trying to come in and either make him go back, take him out, or, okay, be in a position where if I have to be somewhat defensive with the deflectionary movement, he has to readjust. So if I do this now, he has to come and make an adjustment to hit me with his next punch. Okay? So this is what that technique is for. That's the purpose of it. Okay? It's not to stay out here and break the arm. Okay? It's not to do this. Okay? And it's not to block. Okay? It's a deflection. Okay? It's practiced in many of the Kyoryu in various ways, okay, usually with some sort of a thing where you're coming and then down into your opponent. So after you deflect, whoo, you cut kesa, center line, whatever, okay? But it can be with any weapon, okay? It doesn't really matter, okay? It can be with, this is very easy to grab as you come in, okay? But it's not to stay there. You're not grabbing to stay there. You're grabbing if that arm is out there, and you're destroying it as you come in. Okay? This positioning. Boom. Parallel. Not this, okay? Parallel with a rotational movement and a sinking, okay? As you're coming in, okay? If you can't sink that much, no big deal. Just use your weight coming forwards. Okay? And from there, you can adjust how you want to attack his center, okay? If you're looking at your opponent, Here, you can just come in, okay? You can break guard, okay? Remember, we talked about hustle. Breaking guard as you come in, okay? Not this, not this, not chain punching, which is fine, just not for this. You're coming down and breaking the guard as you come in. And again, you're not standing still. It's not a static technique. None of this is. You're coming in, bam, okay? You have this, okay? You have this. You have all these things that you're breaking the person's guard with. Listen, make sense? Practice.